should have checked if our Twitch was working. I did not.
I'm on Twitch.
Oh, it's working. Good for us. And for us being Geeks with Kids. Hey, welcome to Geeks with Kids.
Hey.
Today we're diving into Marvel Studios' latest MCU series, Wonder Man. Unlike most superhero stories, this one blends Hollywood satire with superpowers, mentorship, and identity struggles. We'll recap the series, talk character arcs, and unpack what makes this such a unique entry in the MCU. Created by Dustin Daniel Cretton, who you may know from Shang-Chi, and Andrew Guest, who's written some of the best TV ever, including 30 Rock, Community, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and The Twilight Zone, to name a few. This show feels like half Hollywood comedy, half superhero origin story. But that description is not doing it justice. The show stars Yahya Abdul-Mateen II as Simon Williams, Ben Kingsley as Trevor Slattery, Zlatko Buric as Von Kovac, Arian Moyed as P. Cleary of Damage Control, and ex-Mayo as Janelle Jackson. It also has a ridiculous amount of cameos that we'll probably talk about later. So we're going to break this down. Joining me is Hawk and Brent. I don't know if I did that right I think I did that right on screen.
Why would you say Brent when my name is Dave?
I meant Dave. Because we were talking about Brent earlier, and I'm tired. Drinking my turmeric tea.
Oh, very good.
It's good for you, apparently. Dave and Hawk are here to talk. Brent could not make it. He's not feeling great. So, we'll bring him back when we talk about Fallout next week.
We'll unfreeze his body and revivify him when the time is right.
Like in the vaults.
Yeah. Can't wait to talk about Fallout.
Fallout is next week. It's done this Thursday, right? Or is it done?
Yes. Wednesday night.
Wednesday.
Once it's done on Wednesday, I'm going to finally watch all of it. So I don't have to wait. I'm going to just...
Honestly, I kind of like the mystery of waiting week to week right now. Because it's not 24 episodes. It's only 8. It's fun.
I would too if I wasn't fucking tired from having a kid. Dave, you'll understand this one day.
No.
So we're going to do a spoiler-free section first, just to give people a chance to watch the show if they haven't seen it. It just premiered not too long ago. I wrote this down one day ago and I can't find it. January 27th. So literally,
I was close. I was thinking the 26th.
A couple days ago. Yeah. So before we get into the episode, why Wonder Man? This is a spotlight series where why Wonder Man? MCU has this spotlight series where they showcase different characters that may not necessarily go into the movies. We had Werewolf by Night. We had Moon Knight. I think those were the only spotlight series so far that I believe.
Was Moon Knight a spotlight series? I can't remember.
I think they're reclassifying it as spotlight. It was just MCU TV.
I think when they realized that Oscar Isaac wasn't going to do a movie.
I mean, he would. He's always talking about going back into Star Wars, so.
Please now.
Yeah, just drop that dump truck of money to that man. He needs to be Moon Knight again. If he doesn't show up in fucking
he was supposed to play Solid Snake like 10 years ago. So
he could still play it now. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Might be better at playing it now.
Maybe. Yeah. His voice is a little bit. So we're talking about Wonder Man, right? Why Wonder Man? He's sort of a deep cut Marvel character, not a household name. And like I said earlier, Echo was another one. Spotlight series, so they're doing lesser known characters. Ms. Marvel was actually.
I wonder if Hawkeye is going to become a spotlight. Then.
Well, Andrew Guest, I believe, was going to write another season of Hawkeye, but they said that the time has passed. They're not going to do it now.
Right.
Well, there was a whole thing where the Jeremy Renner
got hurt.
Was just not just that, but I guess they didn't offer him the same amount of money, kind of thing. And he's like, "Well, I'm not going to do it for less."
Exactly. I mean, it's
so.
Was Wonder Man and it's a surprising choice for a series? What do you guys think? Let's go Dave and then Hawk first. Dave.
Not to me, man. I love Wonder Man. He's like one of my OG favorite characters. I watched there was an Avengers show when I was a kid in the early 90s. So I loved Wonder Man back then.
I don't even remember him in that.
Well, they rotated a lot of the characters, but they did a whole West Coast Avengers arc in that. I think a lot of Avengers shows probably showed Wonder Man at some point. Just maybe not just for the Vision storyline. But yeah, I don't know, because he's kind of just like the same as Superboy, right? We just basically wears a black t-shirt and jeans and sunglasses. Mm-hmm. So I was like, that guy's so cool. He's like a regular guy being a superhero. I thought it's a good idea for a series just because his origin, which in the original comics was he was an actor who basically is down on his luck, but he has superpowers, so he decides he uses superpowers to do crime. And then the Avengers show up, led by Hawkeye at the time, the West Coast Avengers, and they were like, "Why would you be a criminal? You could be a superhero." And he's like, "Well, I was an actor, and I don't know how to be a superhero." And they're like, "Why don't you just join the Avengers, dumbass?" Like he's not particularly smart, you know. And his superpowers are basically he can fly and he's strong and tough. So it's like he's just a worse Superman. You know? So I like that. I like his Superman without as many powers, Superman who's not as tough, Superman who's just a guy who's he's not the best actor in the Marvel universe. Like I think it's a great character, and I thought I was like, "Oh, that's a great option for a show." Because we haven't seen any West Coast Avengers stuff. Why not? Like, you want to set stuff in LA? There you go. Boom, done.
I mean, they're planning on making the Avengers movies smaller moving forward after this phase, like not event like Doomsday or not Secret Wars. Is it Secret Wars? I don't remember what the
Secret
Wars is coming after Doomsday.
Yeah.
You mean Endgame and
all those
Infinity War.
Yeah, so they're gonna make them smaller, like team up movies that happen more frequently, which would be nice. I assume we're gonna eventually see other Avengers teams, right? Like West Coast.
Also, kind of like how the Thunderbolts was, right? Like when it was like, oh fuck, Thunderbolts didn't do well enough. The new Avengers, like, just, yeah,
exactly. Hawk, what did you think of Wonder Man as a series?
Like the choice, I never really followed Wonder Man that much. I know I did collect a few issues of West Coast Avengers back in the day, mostly because for Hawkeye, because I was really So I didn't know all that much about the character. I've read through a little bit of history. I know about the connection between him and Vision. As far as like this choice for a TV show, it was surprising to hear it, but then again, like it's never really that surprising considering Marvel's made a franchise out of Guardians of the Galaxy, and that must have been like one of the lowest rungs on the Patreon of comic classics. So yeah, and the fact that they put it under the Spotlight series and that so that they can kind of tell this story that doesn't necessarily have like the hugest stakes in the world, and just focuses on like just really tight episodes, and that really never veer off into like any unnecessary character trips, and that it really keeps it focused. I was so surprised to that it turned out as well as it did. The only thing shocking right now is that more people aren't talking about it, and it wasn't really very well promoted.
Yeah. It's on the main page of Disney Plus, but I don't know if that's just because of my algorithm, which I assume is probably. It's surprising how little it is in the news, despite all the critical acclaim, and people seem to love it. What do you think?
Well, isn't Yahya he won an Emmy, right, for playing Mr. Manhattan or Dr. Manhattan, right?
Manhattan, yeah.
And Ben Kingsley, I thought he won an Emmy for it. I know the show won an Emmy. Didn't Ben Kingsley win an Oscar? Like, isn't this an insane double lead of you have up and coming talent, and you have one of the best actors of all time?
Well, apparently this show was going to get the Batgirl cut. Like, it was going to get cut for taxes.
That would have. Oh my God, that would have been terrible. It's so good.
Yeah, when it disappeared off of the schedule last year, they were debating whether they were just going to cut it.
Oh my God.
Right. And then people, I think Kevin Feige got full control of the MCU, and he's just like, no, this is good. Don't do that.
Out of all the shows that have come, this is one of the ones I would put near the top to not cut.
I think this is probably my favorite out of all.
As a self-contained story, which I said is I to me is an appeal. I don't need anything that's over. Like, we just had Loki season 2. We just we don't need anything that connects to everything. Like, that's something that's nice that you can do. You don't have to make everything connect. You don't have to have things that everybody has to watch.
Well, let's go off of that, because I was going to talk about Marvel Spotlight. Like, what do you like about it? Do you like that it's smaller, a little bit stranger, more focused on these individual characters? Something that someone who might not necessarily be featured in a film, but might show up in a joint film one day?
Because I feel like She-Hulk suffered because it shoehorned in that ending of like, don't forget, the Hulk has a son. God, why?
Oh, I forgot about that.
Why? Who cares? Awful. Like, this show didn't set anything up. It just told a great story. Well, I mean, maybe it set up like a sequel or something.
I think
but, like,
it set up the mutants. We'll talk about that.
Sure. I think making him a mutant is totally fine because he just has ionic powers in the comic. They don't say where he really got him. He just has ionic, whatever. So, yeah, you can make him a mutant. Cool. Like, it was just a good story that it had a beginning, a middle, and an end, and you had good actors, and that's what will get people to watch stuff.
Yeah. Hawk?
Same. I mean, it's like I said, self-contained, and it can veer off into these things that really have no stakes in the MCU, like a struggling actor and like going through that whole process and that of what it takes to, to actually get a chance at a major role in Hollywood, because like, when we meet Simon Williams and that, he's like a guy who's pushing like past 35. He hasn't had a significant like shot yet. And you can see why he's a bit of a perfectionist.
We'll get into that. Don't worry.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Right.
Sure.
But the fact that it blended that kind of story with like some great comedy, because like, bringing Trevor Slattery back into the mix was just, the chef's kiss on that whole thing. And then making it be like a kind of like not buddy cop, but like, that kind of buddy like movie and that.
So it's been compared to a couple of things. So there was because I posted on Blue Sky in a couple of people's things about it because some people didn't like it.
What?
And I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. That's their opinion. They're like, and there's a lot of tropes in this that are reversed because if you look at basically every Morgan Freeman role, right, he's a black actor who shows up and he's this mentor and he fixes everything for the thing. That's reversed here, right? Because now the black actor's the main character and essentially the white actor, even though, Ben Kingsley has mixed hair, whatever you want to say, but I don't care. He's the mentor, right? He's the one doing that role. So it's a nice, flip of tropes. It's got a little bit like Midnight Cowboy obviously plays in the first episode. It plays sort of, it's got a little bit of that too because it's some coming. It's even though it's weirdly it's also reversed in that in Midnight Cowboy, John Voight's character comes to New York, right? And then Trevor Slattery is coming to New York, but I don't know. It's sort of weird. Obviously, the endings don't. I thought the endings were going to match up, which I was glad they didn't. But it's it's super meta. Right, like it's the plot in the screenplay matches the plot of the series, and I was like, that's great, that's fun. You're allowed to do these things, and if you do them well, like this show did, it pays off well. I think this is Marvel's The Studio. I don't think it's as good as The Studio, but I liked that I was like, oh yeah, good. Now, hopefully, everybody doesn't do it, but a couple of people, yeah,
for sure. Yeah. And I know when they had the marketing, we're going to talk about the marketing right now and expectations going into this. The trailers really pointed to that being like more of a, like The Studio, more like a meta commentary on how Hollywood, reacts and how it would react to a superhero joining them, or at least maybe superhero fatigue. Like they didn't really talk about Wonder Man or his powers in the trailers. What did you think about this show? What did you think about the show before watching it, and then who did you think this was for?
Me. It's for me.
Dave first.
Go ahead, Hawk.
Oh no. Go Dave. You're Dave. You're first.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know who I honestly don't know who the show was for. I think they went, we have a cool idea, we have some great actors attached to it. We'll just write something really good and we'll put it out there and it'll find its audience, which is what I hope, which is what I would imagine Kevin Feige would say when he looked at it. Because otherwise it wouldn't have got made in the first place.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's for people Yeah, the trailers were not good, actually, were they? But they were also good because they kind of misled you so that you don't realize. Because obviously the show is very much like a character study for Wonder Man, for the character, right? Getting really deep into him. And in some ways, Trevor. So I think it's for people who like good acting and like deep meta writing. Which I guess, how would you know that going in? But I wonder if that's why they did the whole like plot of like, oh, it's superhero fatigue. So you're like, oh, well, I think that maybe I should watch this because I'm experiencing that. And then you watch it and it is refreshing. Maybe, I don't know.
Honestly, if you asked me like before, I wouldn't, I'd say it's one of those quirky kind of projects. I don't know who exactly it's geared for. Even after watching it, I'm still not sure exactly who it's geared towards. It seems like more somebody's passion project. Probably Destin Daniel Cree and Andrew Guest. It's almost, I feel like it didn't get well promoted, and that's okay because I feel like they didn't focus so much on a super high budget. Like, I'm wondering if this thing even broke, 50 million on the production cost because we rarely saw Powers in it, right? We had a few key scenes with the Powers, but that's about it. Everything else was just about, dialogue and FaceTime between these people. It was great. As far as, who it's geared towards, it's geared towards me. I love this kind of writing. It's has both the Midnight Cowboys vibe. It has this weird thing about generations passing on the torch to a new generation, especially in Hollywood. And there's even a little commentary about America right now, and the justifications for these gross budgets and that for these agencies that, basically just stripping people of human rights.
I agree with all you guys. Then I don't have to answer the question. This is our last, the last thing I'll talk about right before we jump into the spoilers, and we will be going to full spoilers. What was your gut reaction after watching the first episode? Were you happy? Did the tone work for you? Were you just like, oh my God, I have to watch more? Is it that type of episode? Dave?
We were watching it together and we were literally like, yeah, we're just going to keep watching. We watched until we had to go to bed, basically. We're like, oh, we're too tired. I think that was Saturday night, and then Sunday we finished the rest. If we could have, we would have finished it all in one go. It was just so interesting, so captivating just to be like, wow, this character, this is good, interesting drama, well written, well acted. I mean, it's not like there's a couple of shots in this series that are like, that's a beautiful shot. They're not breathtaking, but they're nice, and none of them have to do with the superpowers either. They're just nice shots. There's just some nice symmetry sometimes. And you're like, fuck yeah, I wish they could have done more of that. But yeah, as soon as we finished one, we just let it keep playing. I'd put them on I just let it run. It was, I don't know. Maybe it was just because it was just so refreshing.
Yeah.
But because when we watched His and Hers, we kind of did the same thing where we're just like, yeah, it's pretty good content right now. Just let it run. Let's just get, I don't know, maybe it's because it's January or now it's February, but it's just we're usually in a drought right now. So you're looking for something and you're tired from all this stuff, but it was just so refreshing and just, entertaining. And it wasn't like we were sitting questioning everything. We were just like, yeah, I liked that and I want more.
Hawk.
Yeah, I know what you mean about the shots. They weren't exactly breathtaking in that, but for some reason, everything just looked good, well directed. Just well placed and that. And I guess if you're doing a show about Hollywood and people staging a scene and that, then you're gonna tap into that a bit. But everything had this really great kind of intimate feel. As far as I kind of paced it out because after the first episode, I was like, this is special. I thought I don't want to I don't want to rush through everything in that because every time I rush through a show in that, a lot of plot lines and kind of story moments kind of get they just get jumbled together, right? And nice thing about this is like each episode, you know, did have a good kind of self-containment to it. You know, there was always something unique in it, and that, like, you know, when they go to episode 2 and that, when we, you know, they pay a visit to an old friend, that becomes like a really kind of like, you know, unique scene.
For sure. Personally, I watched it in one day. I watched the whole thing. I went to work, I put it on my TV, and I was like, well, this is gonna fucking distract me the whole day. And it did. It was great. I loved it. Luckily I didn't have much to do that day. Don't listen to me work. But like you guys were saying, it was shot really well. Like, and it wasn't shot like a Marvel movie. It was shot like a TV show. It felt like the studio. Like that. It felt like the studio. There was an old YouTube series I used to watch called Every Frame a Painting, and there are certain scenes in this where you're just like, man, I would screenshot that and put it in my backyard. There's a one shot of Wonder Man in front of Man's Chinese Theater where he's just looking at his phone and looking down at the star of Von Kovac. And I was like, oh, that's a beautiful shot, but not like breathtaking. It's just a nice shot.
Yeah.
It was just a nice shot.
It's kind of like just a pleasant show.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I liked it. It made me feel nice. And I like I need that.
I've seen some critiques about the lighting, but I think that's just a wider industry problem where everything is like a lot of stuff. Like it didn't pop as much as I thought it was going to. Even the scenes. Yeah, even the scenes of like the old, like the original Wonder Man, like the 1980s Wonder Man, like I thought those colors were going to be like super vibrant, you know, like you remember when you were watching 80s movies, and they still weren't. It was still kind of flat. So I think it's just like maybe it's the bit rate or something, but like everything's super compressed. It's not as bad as DC, but it's still just like the show felt like it could have been more colorful. It's not. I don't think it's bad. I think it's just like okay. I think like it's what you get on TV now.
I do think they were going for the naturalistic thing. Like even like the best thing. Like I'm thinking back to the studio again. The only time where it popped was the golden hour shot, the giant Warner episode, because everything else felt fairly flat or at least regular. Like it wasn't too the colors weren't popping too much. This one was pretty much the same. I think the only time it really anything really stood out was when he used his powers, and that might have just been, you know, the anima.
Oh yeah, those are
eyes, or that's the slow motion.
That's when you saw like a Marvel movie come into it. Is those brief moments when his powers did come out. You know, and they always look good doing it too.
Oh my god, yes. But yeah, okay. So thumbs up, obviously, from all of us. If you haven't seen the show, go watch it now. We're gonna go into spoilers. Now's the chance. Jump out now. Okay, I'm gonna
jump back in.
I'm gonna come back. We'll talk. We'll talk to you about it now. So we're gonna go into a full summary of the show. Wonder Man, obviously, I said 8 episode series that premiered on Disney Plus on January 27th. It's part of Phase 6 of MCU. So
wow,
we're in 6 now, which is crazy. The story follows Simon Williams, played by Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, a struggling Hollywood actor who is secretly grappling with powers he doesn't fully understand. Simon's life begins to change when he meets Trevor Slattery, a washed-up actor previously seen in Iron Man 3 and Shang-Chi and The Legend of the Ten Rings. Trevor introduces Simon to the opportunity to audition for a new film reboot of Wonder Man, a long-loved superhero property, and the two form an unlikely friendship both on and off set. Along the way, Simon is monitored by the Department of Damage Control, who we had seen previously in movies like Spider-Man No Way Home. This is a government agency that handles superhuman affairs, and because of questionable events in his past, they're looking into Simon. His volatile abilities eventually leads to a major explosion on set, which becomes a pivotal turning point in the seasons. Simon's emotional response to betrayal and confusion about his identity culminates in a confrontation that jeopardizes both his career and his personal life. In the finale, Simon rescues Trevor from DOD custody after Trevor takes the fall for that incident. The two escape together, and the season ends with them on the run, and Simon's future and his place in the MCU are left open and ambiguous. The show was really hailed for its blend of Hollywood satire, the buddy dynamics between Simon Williams and Trevor Slattery, and then the whole transformation into his full superhero being at the end of the series. So let's talk about the tone and genre blend. Marvel usually balances character and action, but Wonder Man leans more into the satire and the personal drama, other than more so than the spectacle. How did that land for you, Dave?
Yeah, the relationship obviously with his brother is a huge point for him, where it's built up, right? All this contention, and you're like, oh my God, his brother's gonna fuck him over, and he's convinced his brother's gonna fuck him over, right? He's like, he literally thinks his brother doesn't love him in that moment, and then of course his brother doesn't fuck him over. Someone else fucks him over in the end. But yeah, it was like they built that really well. They did a really good job of like, you also, I think people don't realize is that Simon is not supposed to be like, he's not perfect. He's not Captain America. He doesn't always make the right choices. He is a self-centered asshole, and he is in the comics. He is an actor in the comics. He is not nice. He thinks he's a fucking movie star. He acts like a diva. They did that really well about how he's got a little bit of narcissism. He thinks people are kind of out to get him and stuff like that. And he puts everything he thinks, before what everyone else thinks.
Oh, that first shot where he gets fired. Ooh.
Yes.
He's literally doesn't listen at all. Doesn't read the room at all. It's just like, I think I've got a great idea. Motherfucker, you're a day player. What?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, should I be doing this? Nobody cares. You're not realizing that nobody cares? Jesus Christ. So I liked it. I loved the jokes. They totally worked on me. I did quite like, I think maybe the scenes with Von Kovac in the mansion where they're going through all that stuff. And because they've done that a couple of times where they let up and it's just like when he's doing the self-taping, and then you see like how good of an actor he is. We were both like, oh damn, there's some real fucking acting happening. Which of course there is. They're phenomenal actors. But it wasn't just that, like, I know, Yahya can act that way, but it's like, oh, Simon Williams is a good actor too. Okay. Which is such a weird meta thing to be like, you got a really good actor playing someone who's supposed to be a really good actor,
but fucking
when he's on his game.
Yeah.
So I thought that was like really funny, and that's very much like the amount of times he's taping himself. Right. I pointed out because I've seen this before in some critiquing on like the Variety roundtables and stuff. And it's like nowadays, you tape yourself as many times as you want, and then you go, I guess this is the best one. You send that tape in, even though that may not be your gut instinct. Like there's so much behind that now. And like even the fact that like, oh, there's a place where we can go do a self-taping. It was like, but the whole point is you just do it in your apartment, right? Or like just send them a recording and that's what you get. Where was it? The Michael Fassbender thing where Robert Rodriguez, I think it was Michael Fassbender, like taped him on real cameras for his thing. Like, for one of his, I think it was Inglourious Bastards or something like that. And it's just like, some people have a leg up here for this self-taping. Yeah. He doesn't. But how much he obsesses over it, right? Like, that's so important to him because it has to be perfect.
Yeah. And I like that Trevor's the one who sort of makes him get out of his head. Like a lot of, we'll talk about, we'll talk about that when we get to the character section. Hawk, what did you think of that? The whole, the more satire and personal drama over the spectacle.
Oh, it was perfect, because it really kind of brought me into his world. Like, yes, he is a perfectionist, and yes, he doesn't really pay attention to like the room and that. But as you learn more about the character, you kind of realize why. And that it's not an image thing that he's going for. In that he genuinely loves theater and film and scripts and that. He's the kind of guy. He's. I think the brother mentioned something about like one of his only actual valuable possessions being his Criterion collection.
I'm jealous.
I know. But yeah, he just doesn't seem to read a room in that. And yeah, I love the interactions with Slattery over this, and that he's, tells him, he gives him like that kind of, that advice that, he nobody else seems to have given him at this point. And yeah, as far as lack of spectacle, I mean, yeah, you can tell in his costume, like his wardrobe choices for like pretty much almost all of it was basically like gray track pants, just so plain, didn't look like a hero at all. As opposed to Slattery in that he was, he had like a little bit of a flash going for him, but yeah, where was I going with this?
I don't know, but I think that was good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move on. The art culture, us, the nerd culture, we're so into the Hollywood machine, right? We love, so many of us love the making of, the behind the scenes, and the celebrity culture. And this show really talks about it all. It's really focused in it. What did you think of that? Like we see Joey Pants like name dropping all the time.
Oh my God.
We see that the whole Josh Gad at the, his whole thing.
I love that in the MCU, canonically, Josh Gad disappeared inside of Doorman.
Yep.
Just Josh Gad does not exist in the MCU anymore.
Somewhere.
There's no Frozen 2.
He's
somewhere. He's in the Door Dimension.
Door Dimension,
yeah. But they kept dropping names, and I'm like, is that person not in the MCU? Is that person not in the MCU? And when he mentioned Joe, because Trevor does so many name drops, and of course he's doing like classic British actors because his character is British and is classically trained, and he went to RADA and all this stuff. And then he says like, oh, Joe Pantoliano, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and I literally said, is Joey Pants going to be in this? I love Joey Pants. And then when he goes, please call me Joey Pants, I was like, oh my God, this show was literally made for me. What the hell? Every time I see him, I'm like, it's Joey Pants. It's too funny. And the whole thing, and then at the end, oh my God, when he replaced him again, oh God, even though it was definitely the wrong casting choice, just incredible. I'm glad they didn't go because the studio, obviously, every episode, there's just huge name drops, right? I'm glad they didn't do that. I'm glad they were just it's just one. It's just one, and it's going to have a great callback later. So they didn't overdo it. I think they were really safe in the show, which is fine. It's, you don't have to go balls to the wall. Yeah, it was solid. Hawk, what do you think?
I absolutely love that too. Like Joe Pantoliano, come on! Like how many things have we watched growing up with him? Like from the fucking Goonies on to his performance as Ralph Cifaretto in Sopranos.
What was the movie?
Baby's Day Out?
Baby's Day Out.
So before that was mentioned in the show, my partner mentioned that movie to me and is, have you seen Baby's Day Out? And I go, I've never heard of this movie.
I've never seen it.
It's blah, blah,
I
blah.
remember the poster for it. Oh, man.
It looks like
the posters. Yeah, the poster's in, I think, his house is why it came up.
Yeah, it's in the bathroom, actually.
Yeah.
I've never heard of this movie. I thought it was made up. And then I saw I looked on his IMDb. I was like, this is a real thing. My God.
But it was also amazing to kind of see those uncomfortable bits in that, it's like, people love, people, who have a love of acting. They don't actually, some people, it's just a job. Right. So when you see these two actors in that, one who, mega successful, mega rich in that versus, Trevor Slattery, with this, it takes you into a different kind of world, right? You're kind of feeling every moment in that, especially from Slattery, from Trevor's point of view, and there's kind of Simon right in the middle of it, right? Somebody who's kind of on the verge, maybe possibly of breaking out, and seeing the two paths that could really befall any actor. And then to hear Joey Pants going on about commercial real estate and realizing money became more important to him than acting, at least for his shadow self that he's portraying in this.
Isn't that another bit it's another that really quick commentary in there, right? Because obviously in not just North America but basically most of the world they call it a housing crisis. It's a housing affordability crisis. And so being in commercial real estate and he's like, oh, I made all this money. It's like, yeah, why did you make all that money? Because you jacked up rents.
For sure.
Yeah, just another little thing there, and to me, I don't know. Maybe it's you're supposed to or not. What it's art. Are you supposed to? Whatever. So what do you get out of it? I get out of it. Oh, Joe Pantoliano's even scummier. He's even scummier than what he's acting like right now, because he's going acting. That's just the thing. No. You got to get in this thing, and you got to scam people. Basically, I was like, yep. Okay, this guy's not a good guy in this.
And I know, and that moment he calls acting just a job, And Trevor's like, it's not a job. It's a calling.
But that's the thing. Trevor takes it too far, right? He goes, it's the most important thing anyone could do with their life. You're like, I think we're both a little on the outside here.
For me, like, the ending when Joey Pants gets the role. You're sitting there was another layer of sliminess, because I know that he just got
because he's Cypher.
He just got offered it. He didn't even have to audition for it.
That's right. He says he doesn't. Yeah, he's offer only.
So I was like, oh, I hate you so much. You didn't even have to. You didn't even earn
we thought it was going to be the Spanish actor, and I'm like, the chemistry's not right with that guy,
Yeah.
But no chemistry with what I loved about the behind the scenes stuff is they show all the things that we want to see in like those documentaries. Like you see Wonder Man come out in the bathrobe so that no one sees his costume. He only takes it off when he's in there. The self-taping was really hitting me, because one of my acting teachers was like, the job is auditioning. Once in a while you're gonna get a job, like you're gonna actually show up to set or record something, but your job is auditioning and doing that. And I was like, oh, fuck. And now that they have these self-tape places, I was like, there's a lot of things. If actors, like up-and-coming actors, if they see this, like, I think it would be really cool for them. Like, just to see. Because it's very truthful to what, at least what I've heard. I've never been on set yet. One day. This being an MCU show, obviously we had to have some integrations. It does touch the wider world of the MCU, Damage Control, Trevor's past appearances. But it doesn't really rely on these big crossover moments. Did that make this feel more accessible, or was it too isolated from the rest of the MCU? Is that okay? Dave?
I mean, clearly it didn't matter to a lot of people that, didn't remember him from Shang-Chi. That's my least favorite part of Shang-Chi as well. It's the little Disney double butt with wings. I've gone over that. There was a thing in Shang-Chi that's clearly just meant to sell stuffies, right?
Did they make that?
Even though I've never seen it. That's what I don't understand, is it was clearly inserted in there, like the Ewoks, and then they didn't make it. So that's double bad, because that thing should not have existed. It was a bad plot point. It was like the Poseidon adventure. We got to get out of here. Thank God we're out of there. That's how bad that scene was to me. But yeah, I the problem is that Ben Kingsley is such a fucking good actor, and Trevor Slattery is such a charismatic character. Because even in Iron Man 3, when he was like, yeah, so like they gave me this role and they got you off the drugs. No, they gave me more. Yeah, they gave me a speedboat. And then he's going, like, early on in the series, he goes, oh, yeah, I've been, that thing was 10 years ago. I've been sober 13 years. I'm like, 10 years ago, that thing happened? 10 years ago, you walk out of a bathroom drinking a Budweiser.
13 years ago was Iron Man 3.
But he's interesting, because he said it was 10 years ago that he was the Mandarin. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. But in my mind, I was like, well, 10 years ago was the Mandarin, but he keeps saying he's been sober for 13 years. So it's a whole thing. I just thought I thought it was him bullshitting people. But I think it was just them being like, this guy's actually fine and cleaned up, which they go over a bunch, right? Like, he's like, oh, I was blitzed out of my mind there, blah, blah, blah. And he made a lot of mistakes. That was his problem, right? Even Joey Pants is like, yeah, you came to set and it was all these problems, and he doesn't want to accept it. And that's basically what led him to becoming the Mandarin. But yeah, like, it didn't matter, because they just explained what you need to explain. If people haven't seen Iron Man 3, it's not going to ruin this show for them. I feel like it redeems it in a lot of ways, which is weird. Because at first I loved Iron Man 3, and then I kind of didn't, and now I'm kind of back on because I'm like, well, there's some parts of it that are really fun, and Trevor's one of them. Like, he's really fun. So I don't know. And then like the way he just casually drops his history is like, yeah, it's my friend from another dimension. And I was like, yeah, I guess at the end of Shang-Chi, he stays for a while because he was, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's in all was it All Hail the King is when he would have been captured by the Mandarin, which is even what set up the fact. Yeah. That he was in Shang-Chi. I'm like, oh my God, the continuity for Trevor Slattery is the most accurate in all of the MCU.
It's true. And
it works really well.
I never really thought about like, the actual continuity issue in that, but you can tell like, it like, what question are we asking about? Like, whether the MCU like kind of remains in the background of it,
How did you feel about the integration with the wider MCU, or was it too isolated?
It wasn't exactly too isolated. I mean, it's hard to tell because, like, I know the history of Trevor Slattery, and what he brings to the screen. It's curious. I don't know if somebody who's new to the Marvel series would watch this and the same effect. Seeing the Trevor Slattery that we knew. In this though, he's so different, right? Because you can tell he is sober. Because he's like he's not as manic. He's a little more focused. Still funny though, and the John Gielgud story he told. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And then things got weird.
We became friends, and then things got yeah.
But
yeah,
no,
sorry.
No, I mean like it's the balance between like an original story set in the MCU universe and that it never felt like it was going to come crashing in, and that in the moments that it did, it was also very still. Very much stylized to its own. It was comedic. The Doorman story alone, come on.
Yeah, they devoted a whole episode that was black and white. Like,
yeah.
I was going to talk about Doorman next too, because this is a interesting MCU integration. At least I think so, because it's definitely showing that damage control is going to be more integral as we move forward in the MCU. Rumor has it that it's the main antagonist for the next Spider-Man movie. Which would be interesting, especially if we see mutants start coming in, because we're going to have to deal with them controlling that. Maybe
damage control was in Miss Marvel.
Yep.
As a main antagonist, right? Deuter antagonist. And damage control was the basically reason Spider-Man what was the first one? Homecoming happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they are a problem, and I feel like they are our version of like not quite Sentinels, but kind
they could
of
be. Like it could be the next form, right? They could be they already have all this.
Literally, a guy in sunglasses is going to be like, "My name is blah 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 Trask, and I run damage control." We're like, "Oh my god!"
I mean, yes. Exactly. Like they could take the Iron Legion and turn that into Sentinels, right? Yeah. They have all that tech now. Sorry, I just jumped on that. I got excited. Yeah. Hawk, Dave, thoughts on that?
That's why we love the MCU, because we're like, oh, they could do this, oh, they could do, oh, oh, blah blah blah. You so excited, and then they do something else, and you go, that's all right.
That's fine. My idea was better. Anything to think about that for Hawk, or you good there?
I think I'm good there.
Yeah, we'll talk about theories later. I'm going to just go off on Sentinels. I think that's just going to happen.
Yeah.
So Simon Williams, the main man, we'll do general thoughts on him as a character through this series. He was, he's not introduced as a traditional hero. He's a struggling actor, right? He has his own qualms. He's actually very flawed and insecure, and I think we're not really supposed to like him in the first episode. He's sort of a dick to everyone. He's dealing with well, he's dick to the people that he works around. You can tell that he's guarded, right?
I don't know if we're supposed to like him or not. I think it's one of those things where it's like, this is the character.
Yeah.
You either identify him with him in some way or you don't. Because I think a lot of people will see that. Because he could be like autistic coded in
That's
some
true.
respects. The way he hyperfixates on things and the way his anxiety hits him when he's dealing with those things. I thought that a lot. I was like, I wonder if they would make him autistic for the show, or if that's just supposed to be his personality.
I mean, a lot of it is based on his anxiety and his him holding a lot of things in. Like he's not sure how he's going to deal with his power, so he holds everything in, and that's where Trevor sort of comes in, and he helps him release and trust himself. Right? The idea of performance versus authenticity for actors, like so often you'll hear in acting classes be like, speak with your truth. Like every character that you play has to have a certain amount of truth from you, or else it's going to seem like you're reading lines. And he really doesn't, he didn't, like you see him play method, right? And a lot of method actors are sort of like this. They're just going to full on without actually gaining it. Like
breaking character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. He has that whole ego. He needs that validation from it as well. Like, sorry,
well,
I just jumped
also
in on all of this.
No. It was also interesting because when he was at the Von Kovac thing, and he goes, "Interesting, you just did a scene from Pretty Woman."
Yeah.
Because there's nothing original in Simon. Everything he does, and I looked at my partner. I said, "That's me. That's what I do. Is I just quote stuff all day, every day. I speak in quotes, right? Like I was like, oh, that reminds me of that. And then every once in a while, when I say something that people like, they go, "What's that from?" I go, "Actually, I can write my own. I made that up." But because I literally all day, every day, I'm quoting The Simpsons, I'm quoting Futurama, right? I'm quoting old movies, like all the time. And there's a scene, right, where they're just quoting back and forth at each other, right? Quoting scenes, right? The little soliloquies. So there's nothing of Simon. And that's when I realized, because at the beginning, right, the girlfriend's like, "You never let me in."
Yeah.
And we're not even getting it to Simon. We haven't even learned who this guy is yet because he's all this other stuff, right? He doesn't let anybody in because the real Simon Williams, whether he's nice or not, we don't know. Maybe he's just mean to people because it's a defense mechanism. We don't know. He doesn't identify with other people, obviously. He only seems to identify with actors in movies that are classics. Well, it's like, well, of course, yeah, it's an amazing movie. Yeah, of course you're going to see yourself in this or that. Yeah, you're watching vulnerable people doing a great job. So that's another one of those layers that, like, do we know anything about Simon Williams? Maybe we don't. Does Simon Williams know anything about Simon Williams?
And I think that's the part that Trevor really hit on. In episode 6, when they're talking on the balcony, that's when he has that revelation, right? Trevor Slattery says, "Mirror up to nature. That's our job. When we share our pain, our grief, our joy, the audience, less alone in theirs, we're all less alone." Like, he finally connected to that piece. Like he needed to show more, to give more. Like it's such a brilliant. I sent this in our chat on Facebook. I was like, "There's a line in episode 6 that just made me like, so happy as an actor," and it's such a profound way of sharing yourself with everyone. Like that's why I like acting. That type of thing. Hawk, sorry, I just sort of keep on jumping in and there. I get excited at talking about acting and stuff.
Well, Dave does a good job summarizing Simon. I don't necessarily see him as mean in this. Definitely out of touch with like other people's kind of feelings and that. But then you kind of start examining it from his perspective and that. It's like the scene of him like 13 after the kitchen fire and that. It's like basically hiding a very, very, very big part of himself, and just trying to fit in, appear normal and that. And it's at odds with his career choice, right? Which is all about expressing and, letting out, parts of yourself that you don't want the rest of the world to see. I love that kind of dynamic. But and seeing how it's all kind of tied into like the relationship he had with his father. The father, let him skip school and that because he was being bullied. Because of what was going on. I think other kids were kind of afraid of him. But yeah, connecting with the dad, and the dad like saying like most parents tell their kids and that they're great at something and that without really meaning it and that. But it's like when I see you acting, you're really really good. I love that.
So happy.
Scene for him.
But he also doesn't just do it. Like he tells him, he's like, but you got to work at it.
Yeah. You have to, you have to work at it. You commit to it and that, because like you can see, like his family is very hardworking and that they're Haitian immigrants and that, and the brother gives him flack and that about like not being around enough or not, standing on his own 2 feet enough financially. Even like the whole thing in the kitchen and that, oh look what your brother built for me and that, like beautiful. Kitchen thing, whatever.
The island,
the island in the kitchen.
I assume that his father died in the fire. Am I wrong in that?
I don't know. I feel like
I don't think so because it didn't feel like that when he was in the examining room and that with he was basically still in the same tattered clothes that he was in and that, but it didn't feel like somebody had died moment, and especially somebody important to him.
There wasn't a lot of grief happening. There was just relief that he was okay.
Yeah, he's fine.
I find it so I was a little surprised we didn't kind of learn exactly the thing about what happened to his dad. Because I would have thought if it had happened right after that day, right? Like if then the fire happens, then his dad passes away. This is weird. From firsthand experience, I can tell you it is a very powerful thing. The last thing your father tells you as a child, and about who you are, it sticks with, well, at least for me, it sticks with you your whole life. So I get that. I get that part of Simon. And I did want to see more of the relationship with the dad. And it was at the end when he gets the original glasses.
Oh.
But you just seen the previous episode where the dad was like, yeah, I always wanted a pair of those glasses. And I'm like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like, how many people are going to pick up on how emotional that is? And Simon just is like, cool. Like, he's holding... That was the moment for the show where I'm like, oh, he's holding so much more in than anybody knows. Mm-hmm. Like, it's been under there the whole time where, like, I didn't think Yahya was acting flat at all, but he doesn't react, like, strongly to things. He can't react strongly to things. He has to just be like, okay, cool, that's not great. Awesome, fuck, and like he gets anxious, but even his anxiety still is just like centered.
Yeah.
Like it never goes outward. Its anxiety is all focused inward. Because if it goes outward, people will probably die or people will learn about it.
Yeah.
And then he won't be able to do the thing that the last thing, as far as we can tell, his dad told him to do is like, hey, you'd be great at this and I'd be really proud of you if you did it. And then the fucking movie he's going to make is the last movie he saw with his dad, presumably.
Yeah.
And his dad goes, I love this movie. I know it's cheesy. And it's just like, well, that's a full circle thing you just did there. And you're not going to sit on it at all. You're just going to keep going with the show. That takes balls to do and not hold the audience's hand and go, do you see the thing I did? Do you see how clever that was? I'm a good writer. We're good. We're good at this. We know what we're doing. No, that's really fucking good.
If I could just jump in for 1 sec, there is, like Dave had mentioned about how he has to hold things in and that, which is also like something, a little bit of commentary in that about like what it is being in Hollywood now and that, like, the fact that he got dismissed from it for being like, over enthusiastic and pushy in his creativity and that, it's like there is almost a falseness that you have to have in that in order to work in Hollywood and that, because the worst things that can happen is you being labeled a problem, being over emotional and that about anything, or whatever and that, or piping up too much and that. You have to play a part when you're playing a part in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I also wonder what dimension we all miss from this, because he's playing a black man in the United States.
100%. Yeah.
And obviously none of us have that experience.
I mean,
so there's a whole section of the audience who can watch this and go like, yeah, you don't want to be labeled a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta hold stuff in. It doesn't matter how mad you are, because the reaction you're gonna get is very different than that guy.
1,000%.
You know,
1,000%. I do wonder if the fire and the emergence of his powers, and I wonder if that's based on grief. Like, I wonder if it was maybe his father had died a while ago, and maybe he saw the movie on TV and it reminded him of it, and that's just where everything. There's a lot of mutant coding in this series. Although Andrew Guest said that they're not flatly saying that he's a mutant or not, and that he'll leave it to the higher ups to debate that.
Great. Yeah. Great. They don't. I thought it was great that they didn't go, grab our hand. Okay, this is how Wonder Man gets his powers. Make sure you know, like, no. It's fine. We don't need to fucking know all this stuff. It's a weird world. Peter Parker said he got bit by. I really want somebody to go to Peter Parker and go, are you sure it had anything to do with a spider? Like, yes, a spider bit you, but you didn't turn into a spider.
Yet.
You make the webbing, dude. Like, yes, you stick to walls, but lots of things stick to walls. Like, are you sure? Why aren't you Ant-Man? Why aren't you Grasshopper Man? You really good at jumping. You know, what about being a spider makes you Spider-Man, dude?
He climbs things.
You called yourself Spider-Man because you got bit by a spider, not because the spider bit you and gave you spider powers.
It's true. Let's move over to Trevor Slattery. Played by the brilliant Ben Kingsley. And you know, this character is sort of had its ups and downs, and in the MCU, he's very divisive in Iron Man 3. I know that movie is very divisive among the fans. Him playing the fake Mandarin and then showing up again later in Hail to the King, like Dave said earlier, and then furthermore in Shang-Chi as a refugee, I guess. I don't know. Oh no,
he's a prisoner.
He was a prisoner, and then he came out
at the end of All Hail the King. The real Mandarin is like, you used our guy's name.
I do remember.
Yeah.
But you know, coming into the show, I know a lot of people were sort of worried that he's just gonna be like, oh, like he's gonna be that goofy guy in Shang-Chi or in Mandarin at the end of Mandarin 3. But he really had this very surprising layered not performance, but it's not surprising. It's Ben Kingsley, but it was surprising that they gave this to him in the show. Like, a lot of people were just assuming he was going to be that goofy guy that's there. But you know, he's this Hollywood actor that's trying to stay relevant. And as an actor of older age, like, that's also another thing that is layered upon, you know, actors of that certain age, and especially ones that aren't super well known. He's not the Joey Pants in this universe.
I feel like people know who Ben Kingsley is. I mean, Sexy Beast, Gandhi. Why can't I was talking about it earlier.
I meant in the universe. Like, I meant in the universe.
Well, everyone keeps going, were you the Mandarin?
Yeah. Everyone knows him because of the Mandarin. That's not what he really wants to be known for. He wants to be known as that Shakespearean actor.
Which is honestly kind of weird, because I feel like most people, like, do you guys know the names of any terrorists other than dead ones? Like,
yeah, I don't know. No.
Like, so would people actually remember who the Mandarin was? Or...
I mean,
you know,
it was a giant spectacle.
There are kids today who don't know who OG is, so you know.
I mean, but this was but it was also with Iron Man, right? So there was a whole thing around it. I feel like that's why. Anyway, so this series we see Trevor mentoring Simon, having opened up as an actor. That what I said earlier. Through auditions and through all of the Hollywood absurdity, he cuts through all of that. There's some sort of bond that they seem to grow together, even though he's quietly working as a DoD informant. What did you think of Trevor as the comic foil, and then but also the mentor? Like, there were so many different things that he was funny, he was warm, but he was also a little bit deceitful throughout the thing. What did you think of how this relationship evolved?
As a game master, that's exactly what you do with your DM NPCs. You stick them in there and you think, we really like this guy. And then you either kill them or you have them betray the party. That's the objective.
Fair.
No, I mean, it perfectly parallels, right? You don't find out till later, which is interesting about the show is it just builds up. It doesn't make you, it's not a bunch of like referencing stuff earlier, but it's just like at a certain point you go, oh, Trevor's got to betray him. And then Barney, and this the whole scene, right? He goes, Barnaby betrays Wonder Man. And you're going, well, Trevor betrays Wonder Man. Oh, yeah. Is that what, that's what the show is about.
Poetry. It rhymes.
It rhymes. Like, and it doesn't hit you over the head. You just have a little reason that's like, oh, that's good. Ooh, that's good. That's good writing. Like, it's almost like the Netflix thing, repeating the plot so that we realize what's going on. Because we see so much, like they're spending so much time together, they're having fun, and then he's slowly warming up to him. But that's the story of like Air Bud, you know? Like, that's the story of so many things. It happens in, you know, when doesn't it happen? It's like, oh, sorry, you know, Indiana, you know, what's the, you know, they captured Indiana Jones's dad. Sorry, I had to tell him the thing. Blah, you know, oh, we captured this person. We got to tell. It's a trope, you know. Mm-hmm. That's fine. It's a part of storytelling. It's a part of storytelling, you know. The hero gets betrayed.
What did you think of
it? Works.
But what did you think of the relationship between him and Simon as the
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah. Yeah, right? Yeah.
Because it's his first friend and everybody's saying it, right?
Yeah.
And he sees it, the hurt on his face when he goes, my mom's birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he was like, fuck, I thought, like, he know, and it's also, it's literally, you know, it's a breakup. Mm-hmm. It's every Seth Rogen movie has one of these.
It was more of a painful breakup than him and his girlfriend.
Well, yeah, it was the first episode. We don't know anything about.
But he didn't explode a whole building. He just broke a wall. Right?
Well, yeah, because this was a deeper relationship.
Yeah, it was a deeper relationship. Hawk, what did you think?
It was great seeing Ben Kingsley back. Yeah, we knew he was going to give a good performance in that, but we didn't realize he was going to be given a great storyline throughout this. You know, like it works on so many layers in that. You know, it's like a great Shakespearean trained actor in that who never made it. Person who's basically leading a dual life right now in that and just trying to stay ahead of prison. Which is his big motivation through his performance throughout his character's performance throughout this thing, staying out of prison.
The second option, please. The second option.
But you can tell by his interactions with Simon and that every interaction with Simon feels absolutely genuine in that, except for those moments, it's like when it's like he's at the he's at the mom's house and that, and it's like trying to get information about Simon from like the people closest to him in his lives.
He's a really good actor. He's a really bad liar.
I know he's a terrible liar. But what's so funny is like all the people in his life that were supposed to be the closest to him and that didn't have any stories about Simon, right? Yeah. This is how sheltered and like cut off this person was, and the fact that like these two bonded over like this actual shared love of acting and that, not just being in movies and television and that, but like they love plays. It's like they love the actual craft, and and that's why it hurts so much when it's like it's finally revealed that he's a snitch.
I do love that. From the moment we met him. Actually him in Iron Man 3 up until until the fight, he's always been looking out for number one himself, right? Trevor Slattery. Yeah. He's paying off his debts, so he became the Mandarin. He's trying not to die in whatever CGI land Shang-Chi was in. I can't remember the name of that place. He's just surviving there. And then here he's a duty informant because he doesn't want to go back to jail because he thought he could be an actor. Didn't finish out his sentence. But the moment that he portrays the Mandarin again, you're sitting there, you're like, he's doing something for someone else. I was sitting there, I was like, fuck, full circle. He's become a full person at that point. And you're like, well, maybe Simon knows that that's his best friend. His friendship more important than than whatever. And then we get that nice long epilogue where he goes in and fully uses his powers to rescue his best friend, his only friend.
I think it just sets up for where he is, for like where we kind of know him from his origin in the comics, right? Where it's like, okay, now he's a criminal with superpowers, who was an actor,
but the kids,
and I really like it because it's basically like he had one movie, it's huge, right? He's not going to get to make it anymore, obviously, but people are going to call him Wonder Man because of it, right?
But
like,
I don't know if they can necessarily pin it on him, right? All the cameras were, wiped out.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. He's going to be suspect number one.
He will be suspect number one, and they'll watch him again, but he won't necessarily be on.
If he's not on camera, he's going to be on a satellite. Like it's,
that's fair.
It's good. Also, they're going to talk to the guy.
He got paid off so much money, right?
Eric. They're gonna talk to that.
They're gonna have conversations.
I have
the whole
that is
start of the show. Okay, is how law enforcement forces people to flip.
Yeah, that's fair.
By threatening them.
But he's also
from someone who wanted to be and went to school to be a cop.
Yep. I do.
That is what they mistreat Trevor, right? Because think of the things he says to Trevor, right? I actually thought what was going to happen is that the guy from Damage Control was going to lose his job.
No, he feels upward. He's going to be one of those people.
He is not, by the way. He hasn't succeeded in one of these shows.
No, but he's still there.
He's still there. Well, because the budget's too big,
Yeah. Where was I going with this?
No one knows.
Do you guys want to talk about any of the secondary characters? The relationship with his agent, or the cameos, Doorman, anything?
I do Doorman, definitely. The whole episode. Yeah. We could just talk briefly about it because, I think it's one of those. It's one of those tragic tales, like for Hollywood, right? And that it has more than a little bit to do with some black actors' experience and that with fame, that you get fame for that little kind of novelty act that he became
Flavor Flav or something.
He was
something like that, or
story.
Kind of like exactly, it's like that, and then how quickly that can go away, right? I don't know. Jump in here. Like
how disposable people are to this industry. Yeah.
And the fact that even when you try to expand beyond that, and that people they won't let you in that.
Because they want to put you back.
They
in that
just
box.
Remember it, just like with Trevor and that. They only remember you from kind of your worst moment.
It was heartbreaking when he was on the talk show, and they're like, it's people like when you make fun of yourself, and he's like. But he's trying to make himself better, and they had to play off that ding dong with the Shakespeare, and it was so heartbreaking, and to see him hit that low of, just being so drunk that he disappears. Josh Gad, which, props to Josh Gad for being the best version of himself on this show. He was incredible. But
I think you mean J-Gad.
J-Gad, my bad.
Yeah, he's trying to make that happen.
Yeah.
And Doorman really was happy when he was just the Doorman, right? Like he didn't want anything else, and he just got thrown into this lifestyle that, it ruined him. It ruined him, and it ruined the Hollywood industry as well.
Yeah.
It's crazy that they're like, oh, we can't have people with superpowers. Like, what are you talking about?
That was the one.
Stuntmen who are invulnerable? What are you talking about?
That would be crazy.
What do you? But truthfully, what would happen is the government would experiment on these people. So.
Yeah, either that or insurance companies would walk away from a project and that because they don't.
Well, that's what they say, right? Yeah. That it's basically if you have someone with superpowers, it's uninsurable.
Yeah.
But if Ben Grimm is going to be in your thing, you're like, well, that's great. Yeah. Mm-hmm. wouldn't that be a boon in some, like, the fact that it's just a blanket, like, no superpowers in movies. Like, what if your superpower is to make special effects happen? Like, what if you're not Mysterio, but like, what if you're like Jubilee and you can make fireworks? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and then what happens if an accident happens and this is like the insurance at this
that's
point.
That's why they had the dormant clause.
They're inflexible in that. It's like one blanket clause for all. Easter egg in this episode, seeing Roxxon logo on the dumpster.
Yes.
Yeah.
When that happened, I said, "Oh, Roxxon's like the bad guy company," and all the.
Wasn't that how Doorman was created in the comic book?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh well,
like
in this,
sludge.
yes.
Yeah, it was sludge. You're like always. It's always and wasn't Roxxon the who's a bad guy in Across the Spider-Verse? The Dot or Spot?
Oh, the Spot.
Wasn't he also Roxxon?
Yes,
I believe. Yes, he was also created through some mishap.
This is the two big ones are usually like obviously Oscorp, Alchemax, and Roxxon. Roxxon is also, I think, canonically the company that killed Tony Stark's parents in the comics. If I might be wrong there, because it wasn't Hydra originally. There's a bunch of Roxxon stuff in the Loki, first season of Loki. They talk about Roxxon a couple of times in each of the Iron Man movies. But I'm sure it'll show up eventually. It'll always be that thing behind. I was going to go into some themes, but we pretty much just nailed all the themes of the show, like identity. There's a lot.
Like we talked about the mentorship, friendship between the two leads, satire of celebrity in Hollywood. We talked about MCU connections. I don't know why I wrote this twice.
It's so important.
What do you think? Where do you think this leads for the MCU? Do we expect to see Wonder Man in another series? Do you think we're going to see him in Secret Wars, maybe? Or
no, Eric, no.
This is my I'm asking for you. No. I want to. I would love to.
Yeah, it'd be great. Wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great to have the Midnight Suns with Moon Knight and Blade? Wouldn't it be nice to have the West Coast Avengers with like, we're gonna bring Jeremy Renner back to do Hawkeye, and we're gonna have let's do Tigra. We'll do let's finally fucking do Armor Wars. That's
if we're keeping Logan
for
just
6
put
years.
Him in Midnight Suns. I don't care.
Oh yeah, like no, it's gonna be a one-off, which is too bad because this might be the best iteration Wonder Man's ever had and is ever gonna get.
It's true.
What do you think?
I don't, honestly, I don't care. If it does come back, cool. But if not, at least we got this, because this is just one of those kind of like little perfect slices of television in that, Marvel is capable of pulling this stuff off, whenever they want. And Werewolf by Night was a complete standalone. We didn't care if anything ever came back out of it.
If anyone should show up who's been in a spotlight show, it should be Man-Thing.
Man-Thing.
Guardians of the Nexus of the Universe. And Avengers Doomsday.
It makes more sense. He should. It makes sense for like Doomsday
it should. It should. He won't. Let me tell you, he won't. He won't. It's too much for people.
Basically, this series is like that conversation he has with Vaughn Kovac after the premiere of Wonder Man, and that it's like, no, we can never make another one like this. Never quite be the same. And that,
but we'll talk about it. They'll probably talk about it. It is doing gangbusters in ratings.
Good. That's what happens. That's what happens when you put the writing before everything else.
But to be fair, Moon Knight also did gangbusters in the ratings, and that still is not around, which makes me sad.
I'm now at the point, because we've got some slop out of them, like Secret Invasion.
That never happened. I don't know what you're talking about.
If they delete anything, it should be that. Put Olivia Colman in some other Marvel project. If I would rather them not make something else than make something bad. Right?
Yep.
I'm now at that point with Marvel where, because for a while it was just like, oh my God, it's so great. We're getting superheroes. It's so cool. It wasn't the best, but at least we're getting, now it's just like, okay, you've made a whole bunch. You've got a roster. Just make good stuff.
Yep.
Just make good stuff. You've got the money. You don't have to make bad stuff. The bad stuff doesn't work. You try it. It doesn't work. You tried it with Star Wars. It didn't work. You tried it with Secret Invasion. You put Sam Jackson in the war. It didn't work. just write good stuff. And you know what? It comes out even better when your script is done beforehand.
Yep.
You know, you can't all be Gladiator and have 25 pages before you start the shooting. You can't.
Is that all that Gladiator had going into the shoot?
Yeah. Yeah, they were not ready to film that movie.
And they still had to rewrite it as they're going through it.
Yeah, Ridley Scott would shut down set for a day to write stuff, right? Like because it works then, but you know when it doesn't work? The Hobbit. You know, it works for Baldur's Gate 2. You know what it doesn't work for? Anthem. You know what it doesn't work for? Mass Effect 3. You know what it doesn't work for? Dragon Age 2.
You're just making me sad.
But you know, everybody, when you go, oh, we took an extra 3 years to make this thing. Why is the thing so much better than all of John Carpenter's other movies?
Yeah.
Because production was shut down for 8 months and he had all that time to work on pre-production. Because Prince of Darkness, they just went and shot. That would have been a much better movie if they had an extra 8 months.
I still do like the movie, though.
It's good, but it's not as good as the thing.
Yeah.
And there's a reason, because they had more time to prepare, right?
For sure.
It can't be 2 years between projects. We learned this. It took Ubisoft forever to figure it out for Assassin's Creed.
I mean, not everyone's going to wait around like for Stranger Things. Good Lord. Yeah.
And sometimes it's not worth it.
Anyway, let's.
I don't know. I haven't watched Stranger Things.
I like the ending. Did we not talk about it? Oh no, I guess we didn't do an episode.
I wasn't there if you did, because I haven't watched it. I'm morbidly curious.
Final thoughts. Do you want to do ratings? Let's start with Hawk. Hawk, final thoughts on the show.
Oh, it just exists as its own thing, contained within the MCU universe and that. But you know, even if it wasn't, it would still be something I would want to watch. And that, you know, especially the relationship between like, you know, Trevor and Simon, you know, as like, you know, the grizzled vet and that versus like his kid, you know, like the younger man and that is just trying to get his first break. It was entertaining to watch that throughout the entire thing. You know, the betrayal, like I said, the comparisons, you know, the way it was kind of, you know, posited, you know, against Midnight Cowboy, and that it was just absolutely brilliant. I always love like, you know, when they, you know, try and, you know, incorporate like old Hollywood into like these kinds of projects, you know, and it was great. You know, these two basically outsiders in an industry, and that, you know, that was, you know, it can be really tough. It's just a great slice of TV. You know, can they do it again? I don't think so, and I hope they don't try. 10 out of 10.
Dave.
I don't know if I'd give it a 10 out of 10. I really liked it, but it's not like my favorite thing ever. I'm very glad, because there's some, you know, when there's some things you're like, God, I didn't enjoy watching it, but I'm glad I watched it, right? Mm-hmm. That's not this. I very much enjoyed watching it. I am glad to have watched it. But the other thing is I'll probably never watch it again.
I'd watch the Doorman episode again, I think.
I don't think I would bother. I don't think it entertained me that much. Then that's the thing that worries me is like, it's good, but I think it's still disposable, unfortunately. It's not, you know, it's not Schindler's List. It's not Midnight Cowboy. I wouldn't even say it's an homage to Midnight Cowboy. I think it's a reference to Midnight Cowboy. Because it really doesn't follow the same story in the same way. Like this is a very,
the Midnight Cowboy was so much darker in that, you know. Yeah. But like, you know, as a loosely based on that, and especially with the ending where they both kind of they both want to escape, like, you know, the system together, right? In those ways, you can definitely compare it. And as far as 10 out of 10, it's not. Yeah, I agree. It's probably not something I would rewatch.
Oh, it's a curved, it's a bell curve 10 out of 10 kind of.
Yeah, like, kind of a bell curve 10 out of 10. I mean, you know, with everything like, you know, going for it, like, you know, or maybe even going against it, and you know, being an MCU show and that, you know, it's like sometimes it's like, ugh, really?
Probably not the best audience for a project of this. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But for what it is, you know, and what we got, I saw very few flaws in it, and that could make me say, oh, it's only 7 or an 8. No, I'd say like, from beginning to end, it was just a fantastic experience.
I definitely agree. It was nice and refreshing too, and it wasn't too emotionally taxing. It was really fun, and like when it's funny, it is funny. It wasn't like, huh, like it's not a well, I don't know if it's a comedy. I think it's satirical.
It had comedic acts, especially with Trevor and that. It's like we got those classic kind of comedic things that we loved about Trevor, like the quick answer that you can either do this or option 2. Option 2.
It's not The Office.
Yeah.
Right. But it's got the same humor that you expect from MCU stuff.
Yeah.
So
I think it's better than MCU humor, to be honest.
Well, like what I was thinking, because when you weren't here, Hawk was talking, I was like a 10 out of 10. I'm like on a bell curve. But what I'm thinking is that because Captain America: The Winter Soldier
10 does
stand out with other spy thrillers. Like it lives up there with some of the best ones. Mm-hmm. This isn't some of the best TV ever made, but it's certainly not garbage. Yeah. So I would think like a 7.5 and 8, which is about my minimum for I think worth watching. When people are like, yeah, it's okay, it gets better 3 years in out of 10, and I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not starting the Wheel of Time because it gets good at book 22.
I hear that a lot. For me personally, like I look at a show like this, and it's hard to not put this up to the lens of the studio, right? The Hollywood satire,
which I think is a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, the call outs and everything, the cameos, the method behind the madness and everything behind there. I put that at a 10 as well, the studio. This is a solid for me, at least a 8.5 or a 9. Like I really like it, but it's not prestige TV like The Pit or something like that, right? I really like this show a lot, and I really like its connections. I like the idea of identity, and I like the way that they talked about what it feels like to be an actor and why it means so much to so many people, and why people would rather wait tables and try to get that job finally than to do anything else. Like I love that. I love the relationship between our two main characters. I thought it was phenomenal. I like that I finally like Trevor Slattery instead of, being like this goofy guy that's just, there. I think it was solid. It's my favorite MCU show. It's really high up there. It's definitely the most human. I think it's the most heartwarming.
Yes.
I don't think they've ever done something about this much like love and friendship before. And I really enjoyed that. And that's why I think definitely a 9 for me personally.
Yeah.
I just had a realization, which I've immediately forgotten. I was like, oh, I had a thing and it was going to play back into the thing you asked originally. Oh my God. Fuck. Oh, okay. So one of the interesting things I think about this show is that if you had made it not an MCU show, it would take a lot more contrivance to explain why Trevor, like, instead of Trevor being this and that, like, all these little things have to change because Trevor's not recognizable to people. He's just some actor, right? Like, he didn't, like, an actor who played a terrorist, that only works because it's Iron Man 3, right? That only works because of that. The Department of Damage Control trying to do what they do only works because of Marvel. If you took this, maybe it only lives in the Marvel universe, which is why maybe it is a 10 out of 10 because it got made at all to live in that universe and to require all of these things because I think it's a great story. And I don't think you get there without having these other things set that up. It's so much more. I'm just like ripping it apart. I'm like, how do you get Trevor to be this character who's going to betray him?
And why?
What
you
is
know,
it
what would be the interest in Simon Williams at all? You know, unless
is it because is he a white actor who might be part black because it's a racist society? Like, is this apartheid South Africa? Like, what contrivance do you have to come up with that doesn't fit modern times anymore, right? Or some other awful thing, like, because you could do this, like you said, Eric, because it's mutant coded, right, is civil rights coded.
Yep.
So a trans actor, a gay actor, like any of these things, but none of those things are illegal yet, and hopefully they won't be, so that we don't have to. But like, that's an extra step, and people are going to look at that, and instead of being like, oh, I see something in this, oh, I like this, some people are going to be on the wrong side of that. So I going back to the original point, I think it only works in Marvel, and I think maybe that does make it a 10 out of 10.
Join us on the higher end. And this is why I like talking about these types of things. Like, these shows are, they mean a lot. Like, they like, we see so many different things, and the mirror to the world, mirror to yourself. Like, that Trevor's words are so freaking poignant.
It only has to be important to one person and affect that one person.
Exactly. Anywho, thank you guys for joining and talking about Wonder Man, Dave and Huck. We will be back, or at least I'll be back next week talking about Fallout. I assume the second season is amazing. I haven't seen it yet.
It's good. It's good.
I will watch
4 episodes in, so
it's an 8-episode series. Season? Yeah. Okay. So,
and they're big episodes, like over an hour each. Like,
dang. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna talk about that. I also want to talk about the new Game of Thrones show. It's really good. I don't know if you guys have
the Dunk and Egg thing.
The Egg. I can't remember what it's called though. The
Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
Night of Seven Kingdoms. Yeah. I wish they just called it Dunk and Egg. I would have been fine with that, and I would.
I know that would have been great, but it's a good show too. By the way,
especially the last episode where they did they finally did the reveal, which was nice. So we'll be back next week talking about Fallout. It'll be amazing, I assume, because it's with these guys. What did you guys think of Wonder Man? Let us know.
It was a wonder, man.
Yeah. Let us know. I'm Eric. This is Dave and Hawk, Geeks Kids. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Well, that's it for us this week on Geeks with Kids. If you want to get a hold of us, you can send us an email at podcast@geekswithkids.ca. And don't forget to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/geekswithkids. Follow us on Twitter at geekswithkidscn. Check out our pics on Instagram at geekswithkids. And you can find all of this good stuff on our website at www.geekswithkids.ca. So if you like what you hear, why don't you hit that subscribe button and leave us a comment. This podcast can be found on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, YouTube, and your favorite podcasting app. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.